Hello everyone and welcome now to Game 3 in the series, as Goody has tied up the series at 1 game apiece. Goody spawning as the blue Terran player over here on the bottom left hand side of the map of Entombed Valley. Meanwhile, Hasu spawning as the red Protoss player here on the top right hand side of the map. So Terran versus Protoss full cross spawns on a map that easily allows you to run up on 3 bases. We'll see what the strategies will be. Goody was able to place down enough pressure to delay an expansion and then use his economic advantage to come back in with a larger number of units. A good amount of snipe versus feedback was utilized in addition to EMP shockwave, and Goody came out of that micro war. Now, let's take a look at what the strategies will be. We go ahead and we see SCV is just going to go ahead and mine away still. No real strategies will be coming out until about the 2-3 minute mark when we see what buildings will be produced. Now, in a map like this, your natural expansion is pretty easy to take. There is a rather wide choke point, but you can wall it off here if you are a Protoss player, and then eventually take down these destructible rocks and utilize this choke point instead. It looks like an probe now hanging around, heading straight across the map. Going to be activating the Xel'Naga Tower as it gets there, and then perhaps coming up the ramp. So far, Goody looks to do a 1 racks expand without gas. Meanwhile, it looks like Hasu will be doing, I would be assuming, a 1 gate Cybernetics core expand with gas, as we are setting up that second pylon. Now, probe is going to take a look around, and oh, is the probe going to come in and take a look? Yes, it is. It is going to spot all of this information here. Notice that there is no gas, and at this point, Hasu can assume one of 2 things. Proxy barracks, which is most likely not the case, or a 1 racks expand, which I believe will be the case. 1 probe now just hanging around down here, looking to see if a command center is being placed down. Nothing as of yet, as a Marine gonna now start shooting at that probe. The probe realizes it cannot block this 1 SCV at all, and now will be able to get away. Now, command center being built at 17 supply. We are getting an additional supply depot as well being built right next to this. And when will we be seeing additional barracks followed by a bunker here on the front door? SCV is doing a bit of scouting, and oh, tries to place down an engineering bay, is able to do so, and now down to 5 hit points. Is it going to be able to sneak away? It looks like it will be able to, and Goody able to delay the nexus of Hasu for at least a decent amount of time. Command center is already more than halfway done, as the engineering bay, oh, cancelled at the last possible second. I believe I saw 1 hit point left on that engineering bay. That would have been a grave loss if Goody didn't cancel it in time, refunding 94 minerals. Additional barracks are being placed down. Instead of the standard triple racks, this is going to be double racks with double gas. And will there be enough units to actually fend off all of these zealots and stalkers which may be coming in? Hasu hiding a nexus here at about what I'll call the center 4-ish location. Natural expansion over here on this base, and I like the positioning on this. It is just outside, or it is outside the range of this particular Xel'Naga Tower, but it is in the middle of nowhere, which might spot some medevac drops later on. Hasu going to be doing a similar build perhaps down over here. Yes, warping in another pylon up on the high ground here, and it will be able to spot and perhaps intercept any medevacs that fly in, similar to how an overlord is often positioned across the map. Now, Goody, utilizing this 1 bunker here, knows that there isn't going to be any serious attack for a little bit of time. Robotics facility now coming into play, and we may get perhaps observers and immortals, as Hasu has decided that the robotics facility will be his tier 3 tech choice. Stalker and try to engage up against a bunker. That bunker quickly adding additional range, as the Marine's now trying to chase after the Stalker. Is it going to be able to get off some shots? Yes, it will. And Hasu taking a little bit more damage than he would like. Half damage on the life of that Stalker. The shields will regenerate no problem, but that is hit points that a Stalker can never regain. without the help of a Terran player. Now, Goody, let's see what's happening here. Stim Pack, Combat Shield, going into many more barracks now. 2 more barracks being placed down. No reactor on them, surprisingly. Excuse me. Don't you hate it when you feel like you need to sneeze and the sneeze just won't come out? Alright, bunker here, SCV still in position. Now going to be doing a little bit of scouting and almost runs into a stalker once more. Now we are going into that robotics bay, and Goody, without even a factory at this point, is going to get torn apart by those colossi. If he tries to do a timing attack and attacks with Stim, Marines, and Marauders with Combat Shield, that might work, as it would catch it before any of the Colossi are out. But if he waits a little bit too long, say if he waits another 2 minutes before this attack comes, the Colossi will be ready, and it may be simply too much. Marauders and Marines are now simply walking across. There are some SCVs joining in on this fight. The sentries with force field will be able to shut down this, though, as we are getting up a proxy pylon set off over here. An observer now making its way in. Colossus most likely is being chrono boosted, as it knows an engagement is incoming, and all he really has to do is just wait for this next attack here. Marines now making their way over as well. What is going to be happening here? SCV on the high ground, and that is a bit of a problem, as now the SCVs are coming in. The sentries are going to be trying to get in some force fields. Are they going to be able to do so? Yes, there is a bit of a split, but the Marines and the Marauders are up on the high ground and able to shoot around as well. One Marauder up on the high ground here. That Marauder needs to back away. Yes, able to walk up that ramp. A first Colossi is already out, as the Marines are now trying to engage. And this is what I was talking about, folks. That one Colossus is going to spell almost certain doom. No, the Colossus is now going to get focused down. Down it goes, as the Marines are now backing off again. Sentries do not deal that much damage, but it is going to be perhaps enough, as the Zealots cannot engage at all, and they're getting taken down. A lot of expensive units here with relatively low hit points. Probes now coming back around. The Marauders are trying to stutter step as much as they can. 4 worker kills versus 3. And this really just feels like an exchange of armies. Goody now needs to retreat with these Marines. Hasu's going to be able to replenish his forces faster, especially with a new Colossus being added into that group. And now that extended thermal lance range is done, I do not believe Goody should try and attack once more. More barracks now coming into play. Observer is flying around keeping track of all of this. And what is going to happen next? Marines low on hit points, no upgrades whatsoever. Extended thermal lance range now done. And the ball is now in Hasu's court in order to make something happen. Alright, this is a dangerous situation for Goody. Goody needs both medevacs and Vikings. What will he be training first? And will he also be able to delay this Nexus? That is what he needs to do, but there is stalkers and sentries there up on the high ground. Force field coming in, trapping some of the Marauders. Yes, the Marauders do get trapped on the low ground right there. Brilliant force field placement. And this is going to buy enough time for a second Colossus, and now that 2 Colossi are out, I don't think Goody can charge up that ramp. Even though Hasu is behind overall in terms of supply, the additional gateways, plus the fact that he can now transfer probes off and get an economic advantage, will give Hasu the lead eventually, as Hasu just needs to sit back, relax, and not make any mistakes. Alright, Vikings are now being added. We really do not see any medevacs whatsoever. Just going into heavy Viking production. Nope, there are going to be at least 2 medevacs, but those medevacs are going to be relatively low on energy quickly, as with only 2 medevacs and this many units. Oh, what is this? It's going to be a drop instead. And does Hasu spot this drop? I believe so. He suspects that there is a drop, and yes, the stalkers are in position to counter it. Alright, 1 factory coming in to act as a bit of a scout. Are these medevacs going to be able to do anything at all? Stalkers are lined up. I don't quite know the range. Are the medevacs going to be able to fly around? That is the key question there, and you can see Zealots and Colossi and High Templar in position. Psystorm is now ready. Alright, here we go. There's now going to be an engagement here. Vikings, Marauders, and Marines are now going to be coming in, and now the medevacs are dropping straight up behind in a very strange location. The Stalker's going to have a very difficult time getting there, and now the Marauders and the Marines are pretty much unloaded. Back over here, the factory is now landed, and what a great zoning effect, but it may be to no avail whatsoever, as Zealots are going to get taken down over here. The Mass Marine Marauder with medevac support here is causing a lot of problems, as a pylon may get taken down. Is it going to stop it? The warp in? No, it is not. As we are now seeing that the medevacs are just trying to keep this drop alive still. Somehow Goody with this nice two-prong attack, able to attack at two locations at once, splitting up the army's sentries, are going to finish off this factory, but that factory has done enough damage already, as another Zealot will get taken down, and another Zealot will get taken down as well. These units do need to retreat. What are they doing? Nope. The medevac pilots apparently want new boyfriends and gonna be flying home without any Marines or Marauders. Alright, Marines and Marauders have taken on these destructible rocks. Level 1 weapons and armor upgrades have been completed. We are now going into level 2 armor upgrades coming in as well. So the Marines and the Zealots do not have any weapons upgrades whatsoever. That could be a problem. The medevac pilots did spot that pylon there, as we now see Hasu looking to do a bit of a counterattack. Goody currently supply blocked without any supply depots in production. That is a bit of a surprise. He is not on top of his macro at all, and that is going to be a problem. Sitting at 137 over 137, and still with nothing to be trained, and that may be the issue that gives him problems, as he is now up to 145 after a supply drop, most likely. But Goody is just sitting on a whole bunch of resources and a whole bunch of units in their queue ready to be trained. Alright, Marines and Marauders, more medevacs now being added to the group. There are a decent number of Vikings, 4, but not going to be enough to handle if there are a lot more Colossi in the air, or I guess they're technically in the air as they are standing tall. One SCV, yes, that was an SCV with the little drill right there, getting taken down. We are at 3 bases to 3 with an orbital command now being added here by Goody. Alright, that is most likely going to try to take this location here. We are going to see one SCV hold off on that location. Another medevac looking to perhaps do a bit of a drop. There's only 22, 23 some odd energy there, so that could be a bit of an issue if it does try to do any sort of stim drop. The damage will be relatively limited, as Goody has a number of medevacs here with a fair amount of energy as well. Alright, are these Zealots going to spot this? No, they're not going to spot that medevac, as their units are simply going to be retreating and going back home. Hasu perhaps sensing something with his Protoss sense, coming all the way back home with so many units, and may be able to catch this particular catch the units while they're away once more. All right, robotics facility could get sniped down, and Marines and Marauders are going to drop in straight inside the mineral line at the natural. There is a Colossus already here, and now going to be going straight after the Colossus. The Colossus taking a bit of damage, as the Zealots are now there to reinforce. The medevac pilot picking up all the units in the red, though, as we see there is now a high ground pylon going to get sniped down. Alright, Goody could try to go for a drop here. The medevac pilot needs to unload its cargo and perhaps try and heal up the rest of the units. Marauder's going to be going up against Zealots here. That's going to be a bad engagement, as the Zealots with charge able to clean all of that up. Marines and Marauders now positioning themselves. Where is this going, as the Vikings do hunt down one observer? Zealots now making their way in. There is a planetary fortress, though, and that planetary fortress is going to make short work of any melee attack, as we see another Nexus getting canceled. High Templars could be coming in with some Psystorm. There you go, and that is a whole bunch of dead bile right there. Those High Templars really, really worth their weight, as the Marines and the Marauders are dropping back in once more. A High Templar could get off another Psystorm. What is Hasu waiting for? There is the Psystorm, and now needs to get off another Psystorm there. All the Marauders taken down, but still the massive bile ball here. EMP shockwave up onto the high ground. Now in comes another photon cannon, a beautiful EMP once more, and the Ghosts have just been engaging better in this fight. Hasu at 163, currently supply block. Vikings now going to turn around. as the Vikings are attempting to take down this. We see a force field wall splitting up the units. The Marauders and the Marines are now being forced to back off, but Hasu already down by about 40 supply. But are they starting to even out? One Colossus not even joining in on the fight. It really needs to join in on this fight, otherwise things are not going to be going well for Hasu. Another Psystorm coming in. Is it going to be enough? As the Marauders are going to get taken down 122 to 87. Supply count shows workers at 65 to 42. And now that Goody does have his 4th base operational, while Hasu has yet to warp in his 4th Nexus, things are not looking good for Hasu. Hasu does have a slightly larger army. Nope, I spoke too soon, as a round of units just got completed. A Nexus unable to warp in as the probe gets taken down there. Alright, here we go. Here's the engagement. Zealots. Marauders gonna get taken down, and poor Medevac now down as well, as this Nexus was sniped down as well. We are now at 1.5 base essentially versus 3 full bases. A Zealot getting off 1 quick kill there, but not very much. And when you take a look at the worker kill count, 45 to 5, it is no surprise that Goody is in the lead. A 5th base now being established by Goody. Observer now making its way out across. So far, 64 SCVs versus 43 probes. A new Nexus now being warped in. High Templar getting off a beautiful Psystorm there. Stacking those Psystorms a bit much. Another Psystorm there as snipes are coming in. Archons, another Psystorm not getting that much damage in. And the Observer needs to be in position in order to feed back all of those ghosts. If you can remove and neutralize the ghosts, that is going to be enough. But the problem is that those High Templars are simply too slow. Alright, here we go. What's going to be happening next? Archons, a Ghost now trying to engage Vikings. Who's coming out on top? There is the Scanner Sweep, denying the Observer, which is very important, as the High Templar no longer have scouting information on where those ghosts are, especially when they're cloaked. Alright, here we go. In comes the Ghost. And what is going to be happening? Those Ghosts are going to get sniping down those High Templars. Observers nowhere to be found. Another snipe. There goes another snipe as well. And now taking down a quick Zealot. We could perhaps see one more snipe on a High Templar. Is it going to get sniped? No, I don't believe so. Oh, yes, one snipe and a beautiful Psystorm, a blind Psystorm there. One Ghost does get taken out. And now we see an attack over here at the 4th base. Ghost, however, going to try to engage. Here comes the engaging party. A Stalker gets taken down. Here we go. Psystorm cast. More Ghosts are going to get taken down here. What is happening as the Zealots are trying to make their way down? Is it going to be enough? 198 versus 128. Archon trying to get in front once more. And it is not going to get slowed. And a beautiful Psystorm again. Hasu, however, even though he is trading very efficiently, he may not have enough. More Psystorms stacking up again. And there you have it, 171 versus 104. Both sides still fighting. The Vikings having an easy time against so many Colossi as the Medevacs accidentally pick up some more units. More Psystorm could be coming in. There you go, 81 versus 137. Hasu still trading very beautifully at this point, but isn't going to be enough. The Vikings need to get destroyed, and there you have it. Vikings and Medevacs once again destroyed. 123 versus 80. Goody has lost more overall, but then again, Goody has more to lose and can afford to lose it. Harvester count 45 to 64. 5th base is not yet up and running. A new round of units, including, count them, 14 Ghosts now coming in. Alright, you know you have a problem when you can launch 4 EMP shockwaves and still have 12 left over for everything else, just trying to remove all of the shields on an Archon. Marines, Marauders, Vikings. Viking count is pretty low as well. Medevacs, only 1 starport, and that, no, is it two starports currently being used? Yes, there is a new starport being added. I was going to suggest that to Goody, especially since he's been pretty much sacrificing those Vikings for Colossi and then having the Stalkers clean them up. He's not able to produce Medevacs and Vikings all at the same time. Now, you know that this reactor is really meant for this starport. However, mismanagement there. Alright, Zealot going after some SCVs. It looks like this one Zealot will be able to cause a little bit of disruption before some Marauders quickly use some drugs and get into here. Here we go. The Zealot pretty much going to get destroyed. More Zealots simply coming in again. And it looks like the Marauders will be able to finish that off. Here we go. Here's an engagement. Marauders and Marines. EMP Shockwave. Nope, sorry. Scanner Sweep. As we see Marines, Ghosts, and what is this next battle going to be? It is going to be a battle of Micro, most likely. But any misstep by Goody could pretty much spell absolute doom. If the Ghosts accidentally run into some Colossi, that is going to be for sure death, as the Zealots are now trying to deal some damage over here at this base. So far, Hasu has been trading very well, but is it going to be enough? You can see more and more units being lost. Ghosts, Marines, Marauders now looking to strike Goody. Going to get up to 200 supply once more and then move out. And that is going to be the key. Also setting up a couple missile turrets, making sure that he doesn't have to constantly waste all of those scanner sweeps. Missile turret only costs 100. Meanwhile, scanner sweep does effectively utilize 300 resources lost, as that is what the mule could possibly bring in. All right, here we go. A line of Zealots looking to charge into Goody's base here. That is just enough for harassment. 10 Zealots looking to clean up some of these SCVs. SCVs do have 3 armor. The Zealots have 2 upgrades attack. Medevac's now going to be dropping in at the natural. As a High Templar, oh, feedback, 1 feedback, 2 feedbacks, and a beautiful Psystorm to finish off the rest. Now merging into an Archon. Hasu has been doing the little things right, even though he is a bit behind. Zealots now going up against a Planetary Fortress. Not a good trade there at all, especially as SCVs have now come off the mineral line to start repairing. All right, we are now getting closer and closer in terms of overall supply. 50 probes versus 60 SCVs. Another observer now taken down, and the Ghosts are on a run. Where are they going to be going? The Stalkers are like, hey, I dare you to EMP me. I dare you. There is a Psystorm. That's not going to hit. And where are those units? There is a snipe or some shots, not quite a snipe. And where are those High Templars? High Templars, are they going to be able to get off a Psystorm? It looks like it might be able to. No, it is not. The Observer not doing enough there, as we now see Marines and Marauders trying to engage. Here we go. Ghosts coming in. EMP Shockwaves coming in from behind. Psystorm now coming in again. Beautiful Psystorms. Hasu blinking back, and Goody now down to 137, 131. And oh my gosh, this could be a beautiful comeback by Hasu. Hasu at 113. And now, wow. Goody loses the game with the GG. Even, and that's all I can say at that point. I think Goody had overestimated Hasu's income. This base is not mining. They can look at the income economy better for Goody. I know I say this fairly often, that sometimes there's a premature GG, and I definitely believe that to be the case this time around. Goody losing game 3, folding at the river, or folding at the turn when he could have come back with the river, or ahead, or okay, better analogy. Goody folding at the turn when he had the winning hand, suspecting that Hasu would get the final card he needed on the river. All right, I need to work on my poker analogies, but yes, a beautiful, beautiful back and forth game here on Entomb Valley. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.